Nothing in this video is financial advice.
Alright guys, I'm gonna give it to you. It looks really bad, or rather it feels really bad to see something like this, because, well, it necessarily doesn't mean that it is bad, as situations like this can provide you with really good buying opportunities if you have the guts to take those as they come. But yeah, I think at latest at this point, every single one of us should be aware of the fact that something like this, it doesn't really happen by itself through the any single small scale issue. No, anything like this, as is the same with a tremendous price growth like this, all of these big moves are kind of aggregated, and the potential for those is built in the long run, and which basically means that we can't make sense of this in the weekly or daily time scale necessarily. So for this reason, I'm gonna switch into the logarithmic chart, which you can toggle on yourself from here. This basically means this is the same exact price data, but the scale on the price here is just every single one of these boxes here are 10 times, or rather the price difference is growing in the increments of 10x basically. That if you want a better description, I guess you can Google it. But yeah, this makes us think where could we end up going with this. I think a few good videos about the macro situation you could see. For example, Benjamin Cowan did one good video. Elio has some good comments. There are tons of good videos that you can see on YouTube, and for that reason, for example, I'm not gonna go through here the logarithmic regression bands that, for example, Benjamin Cowan is using. No, that's not something that I can do, but I'm gonna offer a different kind of charting here. And again, this is not scientific, as charting is more of an art form in a way. So what we have here is, as you know, is the logarithmic chart form, and what I've done here is, first of all, this line here that you can see right here at this point, I drew it from the bottom here. That was the kind of original birth chart of Bitcoin, as one might call it. And if you start to follow the line, you see that we had one huge bull market here at first, and only after we kind of got from there to the bear market that lasted way longer than any of these other kind of plateaus in price growth, which were the prior bear markets. But only after we resolved this one by going down, under this kind of price floor, which was the support there, only after we got underneath that one by about 47%, we started to see that, okay, we got a little bit longer, actually way longer trend in the growth of BTC's price, which obviously helped other coins thrive as well. And my point here is kind of today one might kind of draw the conclusion, see the similarities in what was around this area here and what we are witnessing here in this cycle, kind of the pre, if you might say, kind of pre this line and post where we are now of the same current line. We're comparing these two sides of the same price support line here, and I'm kind of arguing that something like this might be happening, but at first we're gonna have to see some more pain in the market if we're going to repeat this kind of cycle. So why am I saying something like this? Let's first of all change the color. So here you can see that we had 1, 2 price stops, 3, and 4. And if we start to look at the post version of the like bull market here, we can also see 1, 2, 3 and 4. And now obviously these parts, like, they don't match each other like exactly, but I'd say they do rhyme. Like, for example, this small bull run that we had here, it didn't end up like surpassing the prior all-time high, but the second all-time high came in here, and actually the third one, this was in the end higher than what we had at this like third one. So my point that I'm kind of trying to convey here is that you can see similarities between these, for example the number of tops and like bull run type of events, and where we are now, like what I could like, no, that's not what I was supposed to do. Let's go here. And what I'm saying, like what could happen next, let's see, like only future can tell us, is that, well, you've already seen the price shrink from here, and for example, I think Benjamin Cohen's the logarithmic regression shows us that the bottom regression band would be somewhere around here, somewhere around 14k, 15k, maybe around a little bit over 10k if I'm not completely wrong. But what I'm kind of arguing here, based on this model, this more like an art form model that we have here, is that only after we go beneath, like under this line, which is this line here, by about 40%, we might see the kind of price appreciation start once again. And one reason for this is that in the past, when I've been in the markets, for example going through the 2017 2018 bear market, it became to me quite obvious that markets are basically always gonna take the path or route of the most pain possible. For example, people right here, people wanted to market to turn up. No, it didn't. Here the same thing. Here the same thing. And it's really hard for me to explain how long this time that we had at this point, like this felt like ages. It truly felt like ages, like totally. And even after then, we ended up, damn. Even after then, we kind of like, we ended up plummeting down and doing this kind of dance here, and even that felt like ages. And I was so damn ready at this point that, oh fuck, like I lost all the hope, and the market is, I expected it to go down even further, but exactly that was the time when market took a turn up. So this is more about like long game and sticking in with the market here as we go. And actually, like exactly the same kind of thing happened right here at this peak. Like people were so ready, like when they, or rather like at this point, there was kind of like this disbelief in the fact that the price was actually growing. So when we got here, I saw just, I didn't buy at this peak myself. I hopped back in somewhere around here, if I do recall correctly. So my point is that at this point, the people who had just jumped in and the market sentiment kind of started to turn more bullish. It was kind of like false news, and at that point, when things got, in a way you could say in air quotes, too bullish, everything started to go down again. And here a little like false hope rally, and we got the corona dip. And you see at this point, when we finally got the like super big sell-offs and so many people exited the market, that only every single set of weak hands had left this ride. Only at that point we were able to go up like really well. And here, like, I know no one who would have actually like said that we're gonna see 50-60k BTC in the next half a year or year. Like, no one. I think even this kind of growth took everybody by surprise, but something like this is only built up by a like tremendous sell-off that we're seeing here, which is something similar that we had here at this point, like nothing as tragic as the Corona dip that I just covered, but the point is that these exit points for the weak hands, these are what is actually driving the price up in the long run. And when we go through the most pain, the weak hands are going to exit faster. And I feel like we might have an opportunity like this, what we had here, coming up right at this point, and we might see something like the price going down a bit further, and we might come here even at this point. Let's see where we will end up in the end, but at that point I'd say I'm not forecasting, because in truth I cannot know it, but I'm kind of seeing that this is a potential bottom for the price. And well, someone might say like, of course you dumb, like it's below where we are now, and everybody can draw lines in the chart and say that we can go even further down. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying, but here I'm showing the rationale for why I think this might be the case here. So looking back, let's zoom out a bit. It basically comes from the comparison that we had here with the first kind of mega bull run, one might say, is that we had the support line written kind of like drawn from the base of these few contact points, and we had something similar here going on with this line where the contact points are super strong here. This is kind of there, all of these are there, the Corona dip certainly is there, and like we have the kind of price support to draw a super strong price resistance and like support line there. But what happened with this one even was that even after we dropped under, and this kind of was the critical point through which we had to go for us to like bottom the price and create this plateau from where we were able to reverse the price growth, we even still like went down about 40% there. And what I'm saying is that we could do something similar here. It's totally not out of the cards that like we bottom here somewhere around 10k, 9k. It's actually closer to 9 than 10k with this kind of drawing. But yeah, it's totally not out of the cards that we would bottom here, then plateau for some time, and then start to build up this bigger rally. As you can see, the prior bull that we had here was way longer, one huge long wave when you look at it from the logarithmic chart, compared to the prior one that we had like last year basically, or 2021, starting there. So here at this point I'm kind of like starting to think, and the question for you is like, can you hold to your investments going through an era or time like this? Because like a price plateauing somewhere around 10k just represents a historical buying opportunity in case you have the dry powder for it. And yeah, that's pretty much where I think we're going at this point. I haven't been buying for like, I bought some alts earlier, like some 6 months ago or something, and that clearly was a mistake. But BTC, and well, the reason for that is kind of like I already have my BTC and ETH positions, some Polkadot on the side, and those are the ones that I'm riding in for the long run, and I haven't been aggregating those basically like in for a few years, because once I saw that the market started like going up here at this point as like aggressively as it did, I figured that okay, like I have no way to like actually predict where we're gonna like land and end up in the end. So I kind of like decided that I'm gonna ride the like safe bags in the top 10 cryptos that I had, and with the alts that I have and wanted to get, I was able to kind of like just write those as lost money totally, because the investments were like nothing compared to the Bitcoin and ETH bags that I had. But yeah, the point is kind of like, if you had, or if you have the dry powder to join the aggregation, the like bag generation party here once we get to the range, and in truth it might be here already, but I'm kind of myself leaning in towards this kind of scenario because this is so macro event and not only a crypto and BTC and ETH related event, but rather the inflation numbers, Fed printing money, like that coming to an end, and all this like real macro economy stuff, and the stocks going down, everything kind of like puts me into the view that where we are at the moment, yeah, 19k BTC might sound really small, really low, and yeah, it is. I think the fair value would be like way higher if you look at it from the perspective of where the thing will be going in the end. But still, that doesn't mean that we can't go lower, especially for the macro reasons, because there's like that's something that Bitcoin is gonna like be impacted by the macro. Bitcoin is not the macro environment for the economy and everything itself. Bitcoin, what happens with Bitcoin depends on the macro environment around it. And yeah, these are the reasons that I'm leaning towards a scenario like this. And I hope you can join me in this aggregation and building your bags for the next coming decade. I didn't sell anything here. I guess someone might say or could say, looking it back, that you should have. And yeah, if I had a crystal ball, I would have. But I'm here for the long run. I'm still building up some more bags with the dry powder that I've had inside. And now I'm moving back into the top 10 cryptos with what I have in store to aggregate the bags. So hope you can join me as well, and leave your comment in the video description. In the comment section. Hit the thumbs up, hit the bell button, and tell me what's your view on the macro environment in general. Where do you think Bitcoin will land eventually? Do you think this kind of scenario looks good? Is it like believable? What do you think? What's your price prediction probably? And let's see in the next video where we will go. Are we gonna continue with this kind of model? Tell me in the comments. See you in the next video then.